Afternoon, people. Just a wee Davy short on Devo Max. I'm seeing an awful lot of people posting about the notion that this silly Chris Hanlon has put forward that there should be 3 questions on the ballot paper for the next independence referendum. I'm going to explain to you why it won't fly and why it won't work. Okay. Now, the reason why the vow worked and it was able to sway enough people from yes to no was because the 3 amigos signed a bit of paper saying Devo Max was on the table breaking purdah. But what the 3 amigos knew was that the guy that was offering it, Gordon Brown, had no authority to offer it. He was a backbench MP who hadn't been in the Commons for a long time. But more importantly, the reason why the vow worked was they didn't have to quantify exactly what Devo Max was. If they want to put Devo Max on the ballot paper at the next referendum, they will have to quantify exactly what it is. It would have to be in a prospectus, it would have to be in writing, and they would have to deliver it. And that's not how Westminster works. As we know from the last referendum, when they broke purdah and offered Devo Max in order to win that last referendum, they quantified nothing. What they said was everything was on the table. But they could say what they like, and they could do it again, because what they're talking about again would be setting up a commission where the SNP and possibly the Greens this time would go into that commission with the Lib Dems, Labour and the Tories. So everything's on the table, is it? Okay then, we want full power over that. Let us talk to the London parties, please, to the leaders of the Cuckoos in the Nest. They make their phone calls, come back in and say, no, let's have a vote, 3-2 against, no control of that. Want control of oil and gas revenues. And the commission, okay, it's on the table, let's go talk to our prospective leaders in London. Cuckoos in the Nest, speak to the leaders in London, come back to the table, say no control our oil and gas, let's have a vote, 3 against 2, off the table. That's what happened in the Smith Commission. That's why they were quite happy to offer Devo Max last time. There was nothing quantified, there was nothing on paper. Now, Labour might pick up the idea of a third option on the ballot paper at the next referendum, but the Tories certainly won't agree to it, because the Tories would need to quantify exactly what powers would be leaving Westminster to find its way back to Edinburgh, and the Tories won't do that. Apart from that, the Internal Market Bill makes it bloody impossible. The Internal Market Bill's to align Scotland, England, Wales and Northern Ireland's out the door anyway, they just don't know it yet. But, so the Tories wouldn't fly with the Tories, because that would mean Westminster would have to tell us in advance of the vote exactly what powers would be involved in devolution maximum. And they would not do that. So all this nonsense about Devo Max and the third option on the ballot paper, the SNP won't let it happen, and the other people putting the legislation through along with the Greens. The Tories certainly wouldn't want to own the ballot paper, because then they would need to quantify exactly what Devo Max is, and they are in power in Westminster. And it doesn't really matter what the other 2 cuckoos in the nest say, because they're not in a position to deliver. And as we've seen with the dishonesty of the Smith Commission, everything's on the table, so you get and ask for everything and the Cuckoos in the Nest vote it down. We're still in a position where it's a 3-2 vote, or even if the Greens come into our commission this time to talk about what Devo Max would be post the vote. And because they're proposing to put it on the ballot paper, then there would need to be a prospectus, there would need to be a white paper telling us exactly what Devo Max was. And they ain't going to do that. They just ain't going to do it. Because if they put a prospectus out there to tell us exactly what Devo Max is, let's say it's everything except for defence and foreign affairs. So absolutely everything comes back to Scotland except for defence and foreign affairs. Right? They have no intention of honouring that, so they're not going to put it in a contract. They're not going to put out a contract, a prospectus to the people of Scotland to say that you can have absolute control of everything in Scotland except for defence and foreign affairs. They're just not going to do that. So Devo Max is just pie in the sky. And this Chris Hanlon idiot who proposed the idea, is this guy a sleeper? Is this guy really an independent supporter, or is he what they call a gradualist? You know, we'll take it back £1 at a time, we'll maybe get it on 100 years. Is he one of these guys? But more importantly, it wouldn't wash with the Scottish public or the independence movement, because we seen how we were deceived last time round. So for those of you who don't know how it went the last time round, let me reiterate. The three amigos got to lie to us and sign a bit of paper saying, this is the vow, you can have anything you want, stay in the union. Because they didn't have to tell us what anything we want was. And that way the cuckoos in the nest could go into Smith's commission. It was 3 against 1. John Swinney and the 3 cuckoos in the nest leaders. And the cuckoos in the nest just got on the phone to their leaders in London. Oh, by the way, the SNP want control of that. No. Have a vote. 3-1. Kiboshed. SNP want control of oil and gas revenues and oil and gas licensing and oil and gas contracts. Hold on, we'll check with our leaders in London. Nah, they're not getting that either. Let's have a vote. 3-2, 3-1, depending whether the Greens are in the chamber and are in the commission. So that's why Devo Max won't fly. There are 3 cuckoos in the nest, and there's only 2 pro-independence parties. So the pro-independence parties will get voted down every time after a conversation with London. So this nonsense, absolute nonsense, that's flying about the now about Devo Max and SNP infighting our Devo Max. There isn't any SNP infighting our Devo Max. The leadership have said no. The Tories won't allow it, so Labour can talk their pie in the sky federalism all they want. Devo Max isn't an option, was never an option. We have seen how dishonest Westminster is, and the parties in Westminster. The cuckoos in the nest, as I call them. The blue Tories, the red Tories, and the yellow Tories. Alright. So you can stop this Devo Max rubbish and forget about it. It was going to be brought up. It would have been brought up at any point. It would have been brought up at some point early next year. Because basically, this referendum's going ahead. With or without Westminster's permission, this referendum will go ahead. Because the SNP are a busted flush if it doesn't. And the SNP will be a busted flush if Devo Max is on the paper. But there's another reason why they won't put Devo Max on the paper, the Tories. Because it won't split the yes movement. We've all decided we want independence. So that would split the no movement and give us an easy win. Because there's enough soft noise out there that vote the Devo Max in the hope that it would get over the line. Whereas we all know about the dishonesty of the Smith Commission, the dishonesty of Westminster. So Devo Max isn't going to fly with the yes movement, but it would split the no movement. And that would give us a clear win. That would, even if we got 46%, and they got 30, let's say 46, 32, so there's 78 and 22. Right, we're going to have a clear win. Now they can try putting these 2 numbers together and say, but there's still majority for no. That's not how a vote works. That would need to be stipulated before the vote. And if that was stipulated before the vote, that if Devo Max and no come together are bigger than yes, then Devo Max is off the table again anyway. So All this rubbish that I'm seeing out there when I'm trying to get on with and writing a more show about Devo Max this and Devo Max that and Devo Max the next thing. Remember last time, as the wee ginger Doug put it, we were offered super duper Devo Maximus Max. And we get road signs and 11% VAT and the ability to manipulate our tax bands a wee bit. Alleged control of the Crown Estates, we're seeing we didn't get that either. The Smith Commission come up with bugger all of any importance. The SNP are not going to get themselves tricked like that again. And the Yes movement are not going to get tricked like that again. And the Tories, as I say, the Tories certainly won't put out a prospectus to the Scottish people to tell us exactly what Devo Max is before the vote. The Tories just won't do it. And Labour and the Lib Dems are not in a position to offer us anything. Nothing. They're not in power. And they're not likely to be. Because the idea that Bojo was going to go early with a 2023 elections out the window, he's behind in the polls. In fact, there's every chance Bojo won't even be around. So there won't be an early general election. They're going to have to rebuild confidence with a new leader, the Tories, if they want to re-win power. So Devo Max just isn't an option. It won't be on the ballot paper. So ignore the nonsense that's flying about the internet. Ignore the nonsense in the unionist, in the unionist press, because that's what it is. Go and remember, you have to define between a no voter and a unionist. Most no voters voted no, and I've said this repeatedly, on their wallets. They were frightened of upheaval, they had mortgages to pay, they had jobs they wanted to keep, they had uncertainty over a currency because Mr. Salmon wouldn't just come straight out and say, we'll use the pound until we're in a position to launch our own currency. Mr. Salmon actually didn't put independence on the paper, on the ballot paper when you talk about the currency union. What Mr. Salmon offered was Devo Max. And it didn't fly. And as I say, when the three amigos made their promise, they didn't have to quantify what Devo Max was. They knew there'd be a commission and they would be able to vote everything down because there was three of them in that commission and only one pro-independence party. And that one pro-independence party had lost. That's not how it'll fly. They would, as I've said, if they want to offer Devo Max prior to the next referendum, which will happen, then they would have to quantify it. They need to put out a white paper, a prospectus, telling all the people of Scotland exactly what Devo Max was. And they ain't going to do that. So people, stop filling my timeline and my newsfeed with crap about Devo Max. Devo Max isn't even on the table. It's not on the table for the Tories, it's not on the table for the SNP, and they're the only people that matter here. The other two cuckoos in the nest, they don't have a say. The Tories are in power in Westminster, the Lib Dems and Labour are no. So they can bump their gums and offer whatever pish they want, they're not in a position to deliver it. The Tories won't offer Devo Max because they won't put up a prospectus to tell us what it is before the vote. So it will be a straight yes-no question on the next independence referendum ballot paper. So that's that sorted, alright? So you can forget about Devo Max, the third option on the ballot paper, because Westminster isn't going to put out a prospectus to tell us exactly what Devo Max is before we vote. So there's your Davy Short on Devo Max. Alright, and why it won't fly. I hope you enjoyed it. Share it around, please. You guys have a pleasant evening. I'm going to get my iPad out and get started. Bye then out.